Let's see if I can pitch something. Okay, let's keep doing it. Let's do it again. Let's make this. It's that. Let's get one. And go. What's the cross? Okay,
We're ready.
we have an idea.
All right, so the first topic on the agenda is about the covers. I remember Council President Reed speaking about this earlier, about her desire to look into putting covers over the grates to keep certain things out of our rivers. Does anyone want to take the lead on that one?
I certainly will. I tasked our storm team or our sewers team to do a little research on this. And I'll give you some of just what we currently have and do, and then what it would look like with screens and some of the information regarding that. The city has about 3,800 known catch basins throughout the city and storm inlets. Currently, we clean them. We do what we call hotspot inspections. These are areas that we know are problems. That every time we get a storm, we have to check and make sure that we're on top of it because they flood frequently. Then we also do pre-storm and post-storm inspections and cleanings. Make sure that they're cleaned up before storms, and then go back and clean everything that might have washed into them after the storm. It can be not only street surface, not only the top of the grate, but also sometimes we have to actually take the grate off and clean out the basin itself. We also throughout the system, we have some what they call a sump area in some of our larger trunk lines. And what the sump area is, it's just basically a reservoir at the bottom that collects the debris and dirt and things like that. So an example might be, they're pretty big, might be 50 feet long, 3 foot deep. And that catches, like I said, any kind of dirt, silt, trash, things like that, that sink. That won't just float across the top of the water. They were pretty much installed when the system was designed. So they're pretty old. So some of them aren't even on the typical plans. And we still discover some as we go when we're cleaning or we get complaints and have to address an area. So that's some of the issues that we currently have and what we do to combat some of those issues. The inlet filter screens are about $200 to $250 per screen. With 3,800 catch basins, that would be about $760,000 to $950,000 to put inlet screens in all of our catch basins. Some of the issues that we see possibly happening is flooding problems if we're not getting out there frequently enough to clean them out. Once they get clogged, it's just going to stop water from flowing into the inlet. It would be labor intensive, probably require an increase in staffing. Just as you can imagine, to go around and clean 3,800 catch basins on a regular basis would be very labor intensive. The replacement frequency and the cost, we don't really know what that would be because you're not in that situation yet. But I have read some things where there are some issues with things like cigarette butts and anything that can catch fire because it will burn a hole in them. And then eventually it's almost like not having the inlet or the screen in there. So that's kind of a question too. Some other possible options, or maybe some more, if we can, I don't know, as we build more or improve more of our underground pipes, to include some of those additional sediment bases throughout the city. But again, that's where we know we're gonna go in there and actually replace and switch out pipes, whether it's for repair or just because they're old and need to be done. Right now, we have two people, a two-person crew that with a truck that go around and do the cleaning and inspection. Those employees also do sanitary, not just the storm system. So the priority oftentimes becomes sanitary just because it's more health issues to the public. So a lot of times if we have to pull people, we're pulling people from the stormwater catch basin cleaning to other more pressing problems with our sanitary system. So those are some of the things and some of the issues with putting these inlets in. From what I have read, I read 2 articles about these. This was some of the research they did, but I also did my own. And the 2 articles that I read, the conclusion was pretty much that if you're going to do this, you have to have staff pretty much dedicated to this. And it seems to be more of a system that works in more rural areas where they might have a development or 2 in their township, and the rest of it is all surface. The stormwater is moved surfacely, not through, stormwater, underground stormwater system. So that was kind of what I gleaned out of it, but that's pretty much the information that I have.
I immediately thought about the flooding. I know just very anecdotally, when I look out and see like just leaves getting stuck in some of the storm sewer grates, how that affects road flooding, or street flooding. So does anyone have any questions?
I have a question, but it's not on what he was talking about. I don't see this agenda on the website. I checked every drop down. I only see the finance one. Is it under?
I think we have to add this to the meetings page. It's on the calendar. If you go to the front page of the website, there's the calendar. So it is posted, but yeah, it's not everywhere it should be.
I'm pulling it up, Melissa, so I can share my screen.
Yeah, there's only 2 topics.
Oh, okay, then never mind.
Yeah, there's only 2. It's this and the skate park MOU, and that's it.
All right, it's all right, Shirley. I thought we had more stuff.
No,
Thank you, though.
So are there any questions on this? I'm hearing from our staff that this is probably not economically feasible given the work quantity. When I think about only 2 people for 3,800 basins and sanitary, it's probably not feasible at this point.
We do some surface cleaning of catch basins with our sweeper trucks, but they do not pull the grates, obviously, and pull the debris out of the basins themselves.
Could you really quickly, because I didn't quite understand what you were talking about, like an incremental approach as we fix things?
There's some of the large trunk lines before they empty into the river and at various locations have, if you can picture, it's almost like a big box, and it allows all the debris to settle, that which would settle down into those, and then we can clean them periodically when they're inspected or if we have a complaint or facing some problem. So as we replace some of these other lines through the city, we could include, we may be able to include something like that in some of these other lines that don't have it. But again, that would just be kind of piecemeal as we go. There's no big plan to, rip up miles of pipe to put in these collection systems.
Do you have any idea how much that would cost, or could that be, that would obviously be defrayed over some time?
Yeah, I don't have that figure on what that might cost to do that. I guess it would depend on the location and the size of the line and so forth.
Are there any other questions regarding these catch basins?
No questions.
No questions. So I guess what we would tell our colleagues is that what do you guys think? Do you think it's cost prohibitive? Do you not favor doing the whole widespread across the city?
I think at this time, it's not realistic.
I agree. Melissa, are you on board with that?
Yes.
All right, so then that's what we will tell our colleagues at this time. What about the incremental approach, kind of having it so that as we have to fix some of the larger things we are establishing, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that, because I don't know if I fully understand what the scope would be. Any thoughts on that, or do we just abandon it for right now?
You're asking Kyle?
Yeah. Who?
I'm asking the council members, like, what is it that you want to,
I
what's your-
think at this time, I just don't see it as a priority, but that doesn't mean that in the future it couldn't be looked at. And I think the other thing too is to figure out if there are any grants funding available that might contribute to the cost. I mean, the reduction of the cost.
That makes sense. So are we all done with the storm sewers? Next up is the skate park MOU. Fred, I assume that's you?
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure why the MOU particularly is on here. But we will be entering into an MOU with the Skate Park Association for the ongoing operations and maintenance of the project. But I think that'll come after, at least until after we have the construction contracts squared away. We are out to bid currently, and bids are due on the 28th. So we'll know very soon. We'll hopefully we'll get bids that we can move forward with, and they'll be in front of you guys in one of the meetings in March. But what we have done is there was some conflicting leases, the one and conflicting MOUs. So the one MOU was revoked, our lease because it conflicted with our lease. There was MOU between the skate park and I think the RRA. We have a lease with the RRA, and there's a hold harmless agreement that we entered into to allow for the construction and the engineering work that was done to facilitate the construction. So hopefully by springtime, there'll be boots on the ground. And sometime shortly after that, we can meet with the skate park and come up the association and come up with a plan for the park itself.
Okay, do we know when the anticipated date of completion for the project is? What is the goal?
That's a good question. I thought I was overachieving by knowing that if their bids were due, but I can find out from Dave.
Completion date.
Dave on the spot would know. He's managing the construction with help from our engineers at SSM.
Okay, questions on the skate park?
No questions.
Melissa? No questions. Does anyone have anything else for strategic planning?
I have a question, just out of curiosity. Who puts the stuff on the agenda for this?
I think that's Linda. I think what she does is she takes all of the topics that we are to discuss, and then she segregates them by either standards of living, strategic planning.
Okay. Thank you.
And just in my experience, when we did this before, normally we have far more things to talk about than these two.
Chris, if there's a
That's all.
suggestion for the agenda, do we let Linda know?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Do we have anything else for the good of the group? So what do we do next here, guys? We have a special meeting at 6? Okay,
Is there a time for that?
I think she has immediately
Yeah.
following, so it will depend on how long the finance committee goes. So you might want to pop out of here, and if you have the link to finance, jump in there.
I didn't get that link.
I didn't
Did you
either.
not? Okay,
Well, I think
I
we're all gonna go up, right? So
What's the special meeting?
there is a special ARPA home money from fund that they need to do a special meeting.
Loan allocation plan.
Yes,
Shelley, can you send that link to Melissa and myself?
I'm not sure I have it. If I do, I will send it.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
I'll let you know tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I figured they wonder if they could.
Yeah, I was sitting there the other Wednesday, and I'm like, what's going on here? Are we not having?
So should I hang up?
I'm going to and
Okay.
try and find that finance meeting.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
All right, bye-bye.